The Department of Homeland Security has instituted a new rule, of course encouraged by Donald Trump himself, that would charge people apprehended by ICE an additional $5,000 apprehension fee in addition to the other fines and fees that these people incur throughout their immigration process after they have been detained. So on top of everything else, right, all the money we're already charging these people, the Trump administration said, you know what? Throw another $5,000 on top of them. Why not? Now, this new $5,000 apprehension fee was actually included as part of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. So it has the approval of all of the Republicans in the House and Senate. So it's really unfair to say that Trump did this or that Kristi Noem's DHS is doing this, when in reality, it's actually all the Republicans in Washington, D.C. decided to slap people with a $5,000 apprehension fee for being arrested by ICE. But it goes further than that. It's not just that it created this $5,000 fee. It's that they also lowered the standards. Because in the past, up until the passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill, those fees, those fines, and all of that stuff didn't apply to the minors coming across the border in most instances. Well, those days are gone. So now, children as young as 14 years old will be hit with a $5,000 fine on top of all the other fees that now apply to them as well for entering the United States in an unlawful manner. $5,000 for a 14-year-old who I'm willing to bet is not going to have $5,000, but believe it or not, that's actually the point, and I'll get more to that in a moment. But let me read you this. The OBBBA, that is the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, sets the initial amount at a minimum of $5,000 for the fiscal year 2025, but it also gives the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, the authority to adjust the fee over time in line with inflation. And since inflation is rising rapidly under Donald Trump, that $5,000 baseline is going to be climbing pretty damn soon. The bill also implements new fees for certain humanitarian protections, including a minimum $100 non-waivable fee for asylum applications, plus an additional $100 for each year the application remains pending. It also implements a minimum $250 fee for special immigrant juvenile status, a form of humanitarian relief for children who have been abused or neglected by one or both parents. Republicans created, a $250 fee for children who have been abused by their parents. Like, oh man, I'm really sorry your mom and dad were awful to you. They treated you like garbage. They malnourished you. They beat you. But I can't do shit if you don't give me $250, little guy. That's the Republican Party, folks. Really sorry your parents beat the hell out of you every day, but if you want my help, pay up, bitch. That's Republicans. That is the Republican Party. The so-called Christian party in the United States, right? Because that's what Jesus would do. We all remember those famous parts in the New Testament when Jesus was healing the sick and he was like, whoa, hold up. All right, show me the cash before I restore your vision. Give me $200 before I cure you of your leprosy. Get those money changers back in this temple. I may have overreacted a bit, right? Is that the Jesus that we know? Is that the guy who's got a birthday coming up at the end of the month? No, that's not him at all. But that is today's Republican Party. Democrats in Congress, I will say, got to give them a lot of credit. The Democrats have introduced the Upholding Protections for Unaccompanied Children Act, which would exempt minors from the new $5,000 border apprehension fee, as well as fees for asylum applications, annual maintenance, and immigration court proceedings. So basically, the Democrats are trying to undo all of these additional fines for the minors, while Republicans are like, no, we want abused children to give us money. We want unaccompanied minors crossing that border to pay us $5,000. We want everybody crossing the border, they say, to give us $5,000. Here's the thing, as I said, these people aren't going to be able to pay these fines. And that's the point. See, Republicans don't think they're actually just going to make bukus of money and like, hey, we're rolling in the dough here. They know that's not going to happen. But here's what it is, folks. Do you know what unpaid legal fees mean for somebody that has unpaid legal fees? It means you don't get your rights back. So all of these people, these undocumented folks coming across the border, get slapped with a $5,000 fee. That fee stays in their record. So yes, they get shipped back, they get sent wherever, but let's say it's a 14-year-old, right? You get hit with a $5,000 apprehension fee. You obviously can't pay it. It stays in the system. So you're back home at 14, 10 years later, you're 24, and you say, okay, I would actually like to come to the United States legally. Maybe it's 10 years, maybe it's 1, 2, doesn't matter. But okay, I'm ready to do this, and I'm going to fill out the paperwork, and I'm going to do all this. I'm going to cross my T's, dot my I's. Here we go. That's what the computer system does. Because you have this unpaid $5,000 fee that I guarantee you they're going to put interest on. And they're going to say, we immediately reject your application to even come into the United States because you have this unpaid legal fee. Now imagine that for everybody. These fees are not to raise money. These fees are to prohibit people from being able to come into the United States legally years down the road. I often say Republicans are stupid, and they are. But when it comes to being evil, nobody does it better than them. They are evil geniuses. Because this is a long-term plan, one of the few times Republicans actually look into the future. They're trying to not just screw people over now, but potentially screw them over for the rest of their lives. Scientists recently discovered a new evolutionary trait in puppies, and it's that they cannot grow up and reach their full potential unless you subscribe to this channel. Don't do it for me, folks. Do it for little Atlas and Judge here. Good boys. You do good. You want to say something? No? Okay.